buttons, hit a button on the button.
Kyle, I had a distraction while watching the episode today that I think is pretty on point. And just to not beat around the bush at all here, hi, I'm Nick.
Hi, I'm Kyle.
And you're listening to The Big Bang Theory, the podcast where we talk about a television show that's about nerds that we don't understand. We're not doing a great job. Hi, hello, how are you? And on today's episode, we chose, with our own free will, with our own precious time on this earth, to watch the 8th episode of the 10th season of the American television sitcom, The Big Bang Theory. The official title of this episode being The Brain Bowl Incubation, and the official fan summary wiki reading: a successful gene experimentation leaves Sheldon excited to procreate with Amy, and he pulls out all stops to get her on board. Meanwhile, Raj is reluctant to reveal what the new woman in his life does for a living. That's a lie. I was mostly paying attention to this episode. I was half paying attention because at some point starting the episode, the menu overlay wouldn't go away on my laptop, and I realized, I've got a sticky control key. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna pause the episode, get out a little set of like jeweler's screwdrivers, and spend the rest of the episode unsuccessfully trying to fix my control key. I think it has like 6-7 individual components in there. I think I figured out how they fit together, but I'm not sure I have the delicate touch necessary to bring it all together. Also, not while watching the episode, I disassembled a couch today because it was too expensive to have someone haul it away to a dumpster, and so I bought a hatchet and a saw. And now I don't have a couch.
You fucking hitman to your couch.
Yeah. The wolf from Pulp Fiction to your couch. That's what it feels like, especially because the first time I got the hatchet, and I was glad the hardware store didn't ask any questions about why just a hatchet. And then I thought it'd be fun to go psycho killer on my couch. And after a couple good whacks, I was like, what even is a hatchet for when you really think about it? What is this? And then this morning I decided I have to commit to the project and went and got the saw. But yeah, I was thinking man, this would be good for cutting up parts. I shouldn't get rid of these tools I just bought. I'm just going to have cutting and putting away bodies tools in my trunk.
Yeah, exactly. In the trunk of your car. Exactly that way. You never know when you might need to put something else in the trunk and drive out to the middle of the woods and do it all in one place. You know, the one thing that would really complete the set, plastic tarp.
Oh, yeah. And you know, I should do that because tomorrow the goal is to take apart a love seat in the same fashion. And the tarp would really help with not scraping up the floors. And thank God a couch doesn't have any liquids inside of it. But if it did, that would be a good thing it would be helpful for. Man, I would feel so much different about this experiment if my couch bled and had feelings. I'm not sure I'd be as eager to take care of it. I think I'd be happy to have someone haul it away in a truck and quietly do the terrible business away from me. Isn't it good that couches don't have feelings and can bleed, Kyle?
I've been watching basically because I binge things during tax season, so I've been watching basically every YouTube video by this guy named Jacob Geller. Okay. And he basically makes various themed videos, where he relates various concepts to cool indie video games that he clearly does deep dives on, because I've never heard of them. And but they're usually pretty, it turns out the indie space in the Steam is very gross and weird. And there's one that he talked about where you just go around, with in an office building hitting things with a hammer, and most things that you hit with a hammer just fall to pieces like you would expect, but every now and then you'll hit something with the hammer and it's like a fridge or the office printer or whatever, but instead of breaking into pieces, it breaks into bits of blood because randomly around the office there are organic things masquerading as office things. So you'll be like, that's weird that there's two fridges, and then you'll hit one of them and it'll be like squelch.
Well, thank God for the internet that I know through a friend that out there is someone like me who is like, yeah, I love breaking stuff apart, but what if it had gooey insides? Oh man, that would be interesting. So, yeah. That's all I did today. We should probably talk about the episode, I guess, as much as I want to think about my refrigerator just turning into meat cubes if I hit it in the right pot.
I'll send you the video later. This is one of our weirder beginnings to an episode.
Well, it's been it's not every day that I'm like, hey man, I bought a saw and a hatchet and I had to go wild. And also, let's just dive into this episode. We already did the mini summary. We've got a clear A plot and B plot in this one. I was reading the trivia briefly and only got as far as seeing that Bernadette is in one scene and shared screen time with nobody. But, yeah.
Oh, is that... Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but I guess the way she's cut around, she might not actually be in the same episode as... She might not actually be, like, in the same shot as Sheldon and Penny.
Yeah, well, I guess only with Amy and Sheldon in a new apartment, and that's... all she goes. And then no one else. So, anyway, yeah. So our A plot is, I mean, it's obviously the Amy and Raj thing. Maybe not Amy and Raj, the Amy and Sheldon thing, which is, they're actually being kind of cute doing nerd stuff at the start of the episode where Amy is in the lab with Sheldon, trying like a child to. Instead of giving him a shot, she's trying to take a tiny skin sample so she can... Man, this is where I just like rolled with it. I'm not asking questions on this one. Where it's like, okay, I'm going to take your skin sample, Sheldon, combine it with mine. Those are going to turn into a little brain that has a neural network. Because that's just what I'm doing with my day, Sheldon. And so they do that, and it's fine. Like, their cells merge, and this little sci-fi miracle happens. But what's unexpected is Sheldon sees that, and he's like, well, now that our genes are obviously so perfectly compatible, let's have a baby right now. And, man, this is where, like, I had a moment before we started recording where I was like, this is like a true... comedy television episode because I was like, when Amy, because yes, Sheldon becomes like aggressively seductive. He's like, well, now that I know we fit, Amy, like we are getting down to fucking. Like this is the first time Sheldon, and I can't even say horny. It's just efficiency for and zeal for reproduction. Amy is not ready for it and is like dodging all of his advances. And when Amy comes home after, I think, complaining about this to like Penny and Leonard, she sees like Sheldon has left like a trail of rose petals like leading up the stairs. And when she goes in, he is dressed as if he had been wearing a tuxedo, but it's the end of the night, and so he's just like against the counter.
Yeah, he's doing what I could only describe as a Don Draper impression. Right down,
but that's
right down to summary. the slicked hair and the brandy that he offers her, and she's like, "No, thank you," and he's like, "Yes, it is in fact disgusting."
Yeah, no, he's trying to be so smooth and sexy, and it doesn't go anywhere because Amy isn't ready. And the final joke of it is her shutting him down, walking into the hallway, and basically having to like catch her breath again because she was so fucking horny. And that's like pretty good, all of that. That's like, I'd like more episodes like that as far as A plots go. The B plot is bleh. It's fine. I don't know. I wonder how they're going to handle it, because it gets into like some weird like class stuff, which is Raj is chilling in his office being an astrophysicist or an astronomer or whatever the hell he does. And the cleaning lady comes in and they get to chit-chatting. And he's like, hey, I'm Raj. And she's like, hey, I'm Isabella. Man, I don't know. So here's the thing. The issue becomes that Raj is like, oh, I want to tell my friends, but I kind of don't want to tell them because I'm anxious about admitting that I'm going to start dating a cleaning lady. And, I guess that's like a valid concern. But the immediacy with which they decide they are down for each other is hard to process.
Yeah.
That's like, I think Raj like helps her put away some trash. And then when he does that, she does this like longing reach for him that like out of like nowhere, like just to a phantom form he was in 3 seconds prior before remembering where she is and picking the trash can back up.
I hadn't thought about it, but now that you are saying this, it occurs to me that they don't actually explain that like he hasn't seen her a billion times. Like theoretically,
No.
right? She must be new because he responds to her like he's like it's either she's new or this is literally the first time it's ever occurred to him that she's a human being.
Bingo. That's what it is. I think maybe I missed it. I don't think she said anything about like, oh, just transferred here. I think, no, if anything, she was saying like, based off your eating habits, I thought I'd been cleaning up for a 10-year-old. This must just be the first time Raj has ever worked late. And or like I think you just said, recognizing her humanity. Yeah, I wonder where it'll go with like, I don't know. He like tries to crack wise about like, oh, you have 2 jobs. I have a cleaning lady who also does everything else for me. Parentheses. I used to have servants. She's basically my servant. And I don't know, like, why not, I guess? She's going to disappear in 3 episodes anyway, so, like, what the hell? Yeah, I don't know. I don't want it, honestly. Whatever. It'll come and go. I like more of the Amy Sheldon actually trying to, like, move their relationship forward side of this thing, and the B plot, I do not give a shit.
I mean, I'll say it was just, you talk about this, but this one was particularly weird for me because this one was again one where it's very, like, it basically follows all the tropes of a romantic comedy to a like, super fast, right? Like, but basically, like, they have a meet cute, they realize they might have, he pursues her, he does the cute, like, basically, they're trying to make it as romantic and charming as possible, and it's like, where's any of this coming from for this character, or that like this is a tone that has literally never been in the show before.
No, and it's just like immediate magnetism between the two.
Yeah. And also never been seen before, and I guess asks us to forget that like Raj's last relationship was like with a spooky goth lady, and who he cheated with on the other blonde bartender lady, who both disappeared basically from the show, and like he never had like an ounce of this level of chemistry with.
No. That's
or did any introspection to change like what kind of person he was going to be or what kind of women he was going to be dating.
Well, and thinking even for a moment, like, this is the character who, at the beginning of the series, his whole gimmick was he was too anxious to talk to women.
Yes.
And now he's like, oh, hey, I don't think I've seen you over before, but boy, I must be spraying my pheromones today because the charm that is coming off and the lack of fear. I guess, I don't know, you could call it character development if it just didn't seem to be happening arbitrarily up to this point where now he's just comfortable picking up ladies at work, which I don't even think about that part. That's a bad thing, right?
Oh
Because,
yeah, like I kept thinking about like the power. Like he could easily. It's not like he's her boss, but it's definitely the case that like if she had a problem with him, the like and like she would be the one who lost her job. Like there's no universe where she is not like replaceable labor compared to him.
I wasn't getting to Raj like going hard, getting her fired in retaliation. I was thinking more like they'd still have to work together, but you know, she'd clean out all the wrappers and then
and that would also be weird.
Herd. Like that she would start doing horrible things in there, or I don't know, he would move cities because he probably can't handle the awkwardness. But yeah, that's the episode. Any other specific things to get into this?
Nope.
Yeah.
Everyone else seemed to be kind of phoning it in on this one.
Yeah.
Oh, except God, this is such a dumb thing, but it's just like it felt like a continuity error, and I'm surprised. No, in the stupid scene where one of the scenes where they're all sitting around, the scene where Raj first lies about the woman he's dating being an astronomer.
Sure.
Wallowitz is sitting in Sheldon's spot, just like blatantly sitting in Sheldon's spot. Did I forget a part where like Sheldon was like, I actually don't care that much if someone else sits in my spot anymore? Or is this just another example of like the show, like me expecting the lore of the show to like hold up longer than?
No, that's, you know what? I'm going to go through the trivia here because that's like an IMDb like goof, all the way. Like when you say that as essentially a continuity error, I would agree. The only justification I could think is that like Sheldon's too busy being horny to episode. Wait, no. Here I was also scanning the trivia. Third episode after the apology insufficiency and the parking spot escalation, where Howard sits on Sheldon's spot. This time without him to see it. Did we miss that? Sheldon was in that scene, wasn't he?
I guess. I mean, yeah. I think the other time Sheldon has said something about it.
Whoever contributed to this must know better than we do. But
yeah, he was counting them. Like he was like, "These motherfuckers in Sheldon's seat again. Put that on the list."
Well, and probably like even like what technically counts as a sit. It's like, oh, the back of someone's thigh has touched it. That could be a violation of Sheldon, but is it truly a sit? Maybe that's an excuse for me to think of the back of people's thighs is all. That's not that guy's problem. Anywho, anything else about this one?
Nope.
Yeah, me neither. Kyle, let's talk about things we actually enjoy. If you enjoyed this, we have a Patreon you can subscribe to have intimate conversations with us about things we actually enjoy. And if you didn't enjoy this, that stuff's apparently better. You should try it out anyway. That's patreon.com/TBBTT, acronym for the Big Bang Theory. Patreon.com/TBBTT. Kyle, I am succumbing to a re-recommend. Should I just do it, or would you like to go first?
No, give me your re-recommend.
Oh, I no need to hide it. Re-recommending Pig.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason for that is I watched it yesterday, and I watched it with a friend who hadn't seen it before, and that she was even open to it. I was like, oh, hell yeah, I love this movie. I think you're really going to enjoy it. I'm not going to oversell it. Let's get into it. And again, this being my third time seeing it, I'm like, oh, I know it has some like emotional highs and lows. Boy, still just sobbing through maybe the entire final act. And my friend also like at the end of it, just like crying. And I'm like, I'm glad you enjoyed the film. This was a fun hang, right? But that's how effective the movie is, right? That's like my third time seeing it, and I know all the beats. There's still things I forgot. I haven't like committed this thing to memory yet. But no, I feel like I only appreciate it more than on previous viewings. And just a quick summary, without trying to give anything away here, is the whole film, Pig, centers around Nicolas Cage, who is a hermit living in the woods. It is just him and his truffle pig. And so he hunts truffles. He trades them with a guy, gets supplies. That's his life. And still, one day, things go horribly awry. A pig goes missing, and then people start to, like, especially his truffle guy starts to be really like, whoa, who the hell is this truffle man? But also not to give the wrong impression, because my friend I watched it with afterwards said she'd expected it was going to be some sort of like John Wick type thing.
Yes.
Oh, well,
I think everybody expects that, and particularly just the casting of Nick Cage makes you expect that. But then, of course, it's not that.
I think maybe because I heard about it in a movie review before seeing anything else about it. I've never had that impression, but I get it. Yeah. And that's also a thing we talked about too, is how, the Nick Cage of it all, where, he's brilliant, he's great, he'll do schlock, and does not have a consistent record at all. But yeah, Pig, I think, was amid a period of slumming, and then was like a big, bright standout that was like, oh yeah, he still got it. Of course he still got it. So yeah, Pig, it's a good movie. Check it out. Again and again. Kyle, your turn.
Okay, this is a very, I had nothing, but you reminding me of Pig made me think of, like, well, maybe I could recommend another movie with Nicolas Cage as sort of like a double feature, but most of the obvious ones that are really good, like or just really like Nick Cagey, like Mandy or Face Off or Con Air, just aren't the vibe that I'm in the mood to recommend tonight. So I want to talk about another of my favorite Nick Cage performances in a movie that's actually quite interesting and tender. Have you ever seen Moonstruck?
I have. I also, when I watched it with my friends, I kept talking about how disappointed I was that the movie didn't have any werewolves in it. And I think they really chose to believe that my naivety was genuine throughout. That said...
So they were annoyed, as opposed to getting in on the joke. They
weren't annoyed. They were more like, oh, sweet dumb boy. He's still waiting for the werewolf to show up. And I'm like, no, I get that this is a love story, but wouldn't it be better if Nick Cage turned into a werewolf? But that said, Kyle, please continue.
Yeah. So, it is a straight... Moonstruck is basically a straight... I won't say quite a romantic comedy. It's more like a romantic... and not a drama either. It's almost like a musical, except no one sings in it.
It's just so heightened.
That's right. It's very much, this is, and maybe the Italianness of it as something to, the thing I think about a lot is, even though it's if you ever watch The Sopranos, you know how in The Sopranos, everybody talks like they're, in some kind of play or something, like,
sure.
They all use like weird 6-syllable words and things that you're like, why is an Italian mobster like, I'll tell you what, fucking Tony, the fantabulations of your consciousness, are a delight to be seen. And it's like, who the fuck talks like this? But it's part of the vibe of the show. Moonstruck,
I take it for granted. It'd be funny if they were all pretty dumb, though, right? Like if they talked just like regular guys, like different show. But
yes.
Continue.
So anyway, Moonstruck is like that. Without the horrific violence. There's some implied violence, but there's no mob violence. Basically, Cher, of all people, plays an Italian middle-aged woman who I think her first husband died, and so she's felt kind of cursed ever since. But she's, she's become very self-reliant and self-sufficient. And, she's in love with this guy who's kind of a loser, but, a nice loser. And like, not like the simpy, like wimpy. He's just like, he's very much, like he's, he can't take care of himself. We'll put it like that. He's like a nice guy, but he's like very explicitly looking for someone who will basically be his mother as well as his wife. And, but they have a relationship that like basically works. But then on the eve of their getting married, when she agrees to his proposal, he tells her, hey, before we get married, there's one thing I need you to do. I need you to go see my brother and deliver a message from me. I've never told you about this, but I have a secret brother who I am deeply estranged from. We have one of those old Italian blood feuds between us. And now I have to put that to rest so I can live happily. So Cher goes to see this guy, and it is Nick Cage giving one of his just many modes of Nick Cage performance. In this case, his whole character is that he is I think a baker.
Yes.
Who lost one of his arms in a horrific baking accident that he blames his brother for. And as a result, somehow inexplicably of losing his arm, he also lost his girlfriend at the time, which leads to, this great, like, monologue that he gives that I don't remember all of, but one part of it is burned into my brain because he's yelling at Cher and he's like, Johnny has his bride. Johnny has his arm. Where is my bride? Where is my arm?
Yeah. Well, and this is all upon Cher basically saying, hello.
Yes, that's right. This isn't like his dramatic, like, unleavening at the end of the movie. He says this like 2 seconds after meeting her. And then, he realizes through the magic of Italian love or whatever, I don't know, the magic of the moon, that he's in love with her, and that even though they've never met before, she is secretly in love with him, and he proceeds to try to woo her. He proceeds to successfully woo her away from his brother, who basically you don't feel bad for. Yeah. And who himself, when he finally sees them together, he's like, oh, it's that weird Italian moon magic. I mean, what you gonna do? I can't stand in the way of that. And that's the end of the movie.
Yeah, it really is. You think you're in love, right? And then you see Nick Cage freaking out, and you're like, God damn it, I didn't know what love was before this.
Yeah, I guess I'm underselling it, maybe, but it is a really fun, sort of warm movie. I don't know. It's just a feel good movie in a weird way.
Yeah, no, like in spite of like all the anger and betrayal that the characters are recovering from or expressing or anything like that, they're all trying to make the best of it. It's not something. It's definitely not a movie which I think is super common in. I don't know, like I said, it's not quite a drama because it doesn't. There's like no big like horrible tragic thing. There's like not this somber, oh, we all have to overcome and like get over it and come back together like trope. It's really like just a lot of intense energy of people who were like, what is it to love? What is it to? It was all good, and then I saw the sweaty guy, and
Yeah, I do think there's if I remember correctly, there's a weird subplot where Cher realizes that her dad, who is like 60 years old, is cheating on his mom, who is also like 60 years old.
Yeah.
But at the end of the movie, instead of in like a modern movie where she'd be like, I am an independent woman and you are out of here, it basically ends with him coming back and being like, no, you know what? I realize that my love for you is much more profound than, some side piece, and if you can forgive me, we're just gonna put this both behind us. And she's like, yeah, that works for me.
Yeah. Good movie. So, yeah, it's Pig and Moonstruck. Both single word titles. Both about sweaty little hairy guys that get everyone all worked up. And that could be Nick Cage or the Pig, I guess.
Nick Cage's filmography, man. We've talked about it before. We've borderline done entire episodes about Nick Cage before, but I can never get over it.
Maybe we'll have to get deep into that one because it's like I feel like he just doesn't have any shame, and I mean that in like a positive way. Yeah. Where he's like, yeah, of course I'm a great actor. I can do the big hits. I can do whatever I like, and I ain't afraid to just show up and make some money sometimes. And I'm not being ironic at all. I genuinely like how he's just like, no, I'm just going to go for it and do everything and be radical. So
okay. There's so I looked up his Wikipedia page. Fun fact, film director David Lynch described Nicolas Cage as the jazz musician of American acting, which is a pretty good compliment.
It's very positive from David Lynch for sure.
Yeah. And then the other thing is there's just a clip you need to go on YouTube. I don't know what movie it's for, but it's Stephen Colbert on The Tonight Show is interviewing Nick Cage, and he goes, "Hey, Nick Cage, what do you think happens after you die?" And Nick Cage just gives a completely sincere, well thought out answer that sounds really good, and I can't really repeat because I don't like it. What's crazy about it is not the answer itself. It's that he doesn't basically blink between when like out of the blue, Stephen Colbert is like, "Hey, Nick Cage, what do you think happens after death?" And Nick Cage is like, "I've thought about it a lot." And then he just proceeds to say, his thoughts on whether human consciousness can or can, and whether energy can have consciousness, which is debatable. And he's like, "So maybe not. Who am I to say?" And when it's done, like Stephen Colbert is just like stunned because it's like, did this motherfucker just give the most like rational philosophic answer to the riddle of life after death that anyone on my show has ever given?
Yeah, he was expecting Nick Cage to just be like, "Well, I don't know, man, so long as I get to keep my snakeskin jacket." And instead, yeah, that's great. That's, again, just the raddest guy. I can't wait till I hear about the allegations, but until then.
Yeah, I started to say, it's like, who else they said that about? Cesar Chavez.
Oh, wow. That's a one, too, where I'm like, still in Montana for now, and I like want to go around to people and be like, "Do you know how big of a deal this is? Where on the West Coast, do you have any idea what this means?" But yeah, well, let's hope. Let's name all the streets after Nick Cage and just bet big. I think I'm not willing to let him disappoint me, and so God, I don't know what they're actually really naming like Cesar Chavez Day. But I say Nicolas Cage Day.
I think they're going to go with like Workers' Day.
Yeah. Well, I think Nicolas Cage still fits that. He's the working actor. Is he still of the Hollywood elite and a Nepo baby? Sure. But I don't know. I like him.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like someone who would be upset if you called him a Nepo baby either. He'd be like, "Yeah, that's probably fair."
Well, I think also he wouldn't mind because, again, he'd be like, goddamn snakeskin jacket.
Yeah, he'd be like, "Lord of War was pretty good though, right? Let's not lie to ourselves."
Yeah. I've done a bunch of good ones. I was in one of those Left Behind movies or one of those Christian things, but...
Oh, that's right, he was.
Yeah, but you know what? Still don't fault him. He's making that money. That's Nick Cage, always hustling. Love him. Whatever the rest of this episode is about, insubstantial. Nick Cage, all the way, baby.
This podcast, once again, for its final recommendation is just go hang out with Nick Cage. Have a Nick Cage day.
Yeah, just feel it. Watch a movie, put it on the background, just contemplate the Cage, whatever it is.